Happy New Year. Today is the official Chinese New Year, and it is the year of the Rooster. God, that was your opportunity. It's the year of the Rooster, so we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. We're going to do our special puja here tomorrow for the Rooster. But what we've been talking about the last few weeks is everybody getting their energy flowing for the Chinese New Year. So we're pranic practitioners. Ashtanga is a breath prana practice. You all understand the meridians or the nadis that run through your physical frame, through your body, and how the yoga practice is all about keeping that flow of energy moving. And we become more able to detect, for example, when there are blockages. We call them grunties, right, in our nadis. When there's a grunty, we do our different poses and hold our body, the form in certain ways to get more breath and more movement through the vayus we've been talking about, so through the spine, through the heart, through the neck, our digestive system, and then also been talking a little bit about the chakras. So that's the physiology of the prana, and then the emotional part of the prana is the chakras. So as yogis, you know that you've been studying for years. You know that if you come to your practice on a regular basis, you feel that energy and you have that energy. But as pranic practitioners, what we understand, like some of the old types of medicine and older cultures have these practices like Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine. We understand it's more than just our physical container, our frame, but it's all the frames in our life that sort of reflect our energy or have our energy in it. So this Shala, the new ocean Shala, has my energy in it. It has my furniture in it, has my altar and deities, and it has my energy. But it also has your energy in it too, and all the people who come here and practice here, like you bring your energies into this room. So if a feng shui practitioner came in here, she could tell us about this space and what energy is in this space, depending on where things are placed, but also sort of what's going on in energetically here. And if a feng shui specialist came here, she would use something called a lopan, which is a Chinese compass, which I thought was really interesting that we were going to. I always bring my antique Chinese compass, my feng shui compass for this particular teaching every year as kind of a show and tell. But what I thought was fun was that we've been using the Western compass for our New Year and talking about that being our symbol to remind us that this is our adventure. You know, this one life is our adventure as heroes and heroines, and also that the compass reminds us to stay on our true north and to be on our path, and to use our yoga as part of one of those things that keep us on our path, keep us in the right direction. So it was interesting for me to take the Chinese compass out the way I do every year, and I looked up some interesting things to kind of share with you about the compass, and looking at not just my container, but the containers in our life for the New Year's. And one was the magnetic compass in the middle of this is a little different than the Western ones. Does anybody remember why this compass is different?
It's just so.
Yes, so all the Western compasses are set to the north, and the Chinese compasses, there's two different Chinese compasses, and they're set to the south. And as you guys know, these lines around the center here are the I Ching lines, with their broken or solid, which represent, do you guys remember what these lines represent around here? The elements, right? So like if I'm just using an example, a couple broken lines and then a couple solid lines might be fire. And then the next one, it's set up a little bit different, might be earth, like that. So we have it around there. And then all the kanjis that come out from here are part of how you understand and read energy in a space. So in looking up the compass, I didn't know this until I was looking this up for you guys, but I was really fascinated by the first compass that was ever used by man was in China. And it was first used in 206 BC in the Han Dynasty. And it was used for divinations. That was the first reason that we used a compass, or that compasses were used. Do you guys know what divinations are? It was spiritual. So some of the translations are to speak with the gods, or to have a connection to something higher than yourself, or to help you sift through life's sort of things. And every culture has different forms of divinations. Some people use tarot cards. In Ireland, they use runes. Have you seen the runes, the little stones with the symbols on them? And Native Americans use more primitive, like just forms of stick throwing or stones and different things to help us on our path, basically. So what this was used for at first was described as our internal navigation. So think of it as your sort of spirit or your life navigation from the inside. And then later, it wasn't actually until the 11th century that the Chinese, the Song dynasty, started using it for navigations on how to get around the planet, how to get around and find your north and your south and find your way when you're lost or where you're going. And it wasn't until the 13th century that it was that the Europeans started using compasses and the Persians were using compasses. So it was a beautiful analogy for us this year, and now with the Chinese New Year, I like to even go deeper with our analogies of the compass, and helping us this time of the year navigate our prana, navigate our energy and our chakras, and a little bit about our internal life and where we're going with our spiritual practice. So this time of year, we always look at, this is a container for me. If I look outside of my energy, extends all the way to each one of you. Part of my energy is my relationship with Leah, for example, and that has its own energy because of mine, but also because of hers. And we look at like our partners, our children, our friendships, the people we work with. All of those have an energy, its own energy. We look at another container in our life, is a big container in our life is our house. So we look at that and what is the energy like in there? Is it flowing? Is it not flowing? We talked about, do we have things in our house that someone gave us that we don't really like, but we keep it because there's all these reasons why we keep things, right? And it blocks energy for us. Or if we look at our office space where we work, or our office space at home, like what is the energy flowing like there? Are there stacks of things that aren't filed, or things that are incomplete, or we kind of hide somewhere because we don't want to deal with it? Or so I always ask you to read the book by Karen Kingston, Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui, because she kind of helps you kind of go through each of the boxes or containers in our life, or relationships in our life. And this is a time of year for me where I want to use this word, assess. It's a time in our life to stop from our busy autopilot and just assess the energy in your life. For me anyway, this is what I like to have the Shala do. So how is my relationship energy working? How is my home energy working? And how does that affect my life? It kind of goes back to the Hopi prayer that we've been reading about. Where is your garden? And are we tending to our gardens? So this is going to be fun for me. I like to drag it out into the whole first week of the new year, so we can continue cleaning up clutter in our houses, or looking at different aspects of your life. You can look at it from one way to look at doing your assessing and your cleansing is to see, is there something in your life that's kind of stagnant or not working for you, and then go find the stuff. But the other way to do it is just realize where there's just stuff and move it out that way as well. I have said a little bit about this last week, but a really exciting time of the year to do this, because we're about to begin a new chapter, all of us. And we want to start that new chapter with energy and also with without a lot of weight, a lot of things that bring us down or don't create movement for us in our life. Life is about movement, not stagnation. It's about growing. It's about changing. It's about adventure, as we've been talking about. So I always encourage you guys, when it comes to things, we're going to post a video that's been out called The Minimalist. The more that we can let go of things, the freer we feel and the happier we are. And so just take a look again in your house if there are things that you haven't been using, to know that if you give them to someone else. I was saying how I gave some of my yoga clothes to some girls that I knew, and I was so excited they'd be wearing them the next day and the next week and the next month, and it was just good energy. I could see that wasn't stagnant anymore, something that wasn't stuck, but it was being used. So when you look through your life, be very generous and in your way of being what don't I use that someone else could? And it's just, think of it as not just the things themselves, but really this is all about energy. It's all about the energy in your life. And when you have some great flowing energy and some great stories that come from letting go of specific things, share them with me, because I love to hear about it. So, as always, a Happy New Year to all of you. We'll do our puja on Sunday. Those of you that are our extended family can join us tomorrow and light some candles and put some gratitude for our year past, and look forward to a year of embracing the rooster. Namaste.